Thank you so much, Brandy. Sorry about that. I just sort of was welcoming you guys. We have this session. It's film production and storytelling with WeVideo. My name is Stu Jernigan. I'm an education specialist with WeVideo. I'm a former high school humanities teacher. I used to teach in the Bay Area. And then I led professional development for San Francisco Unified. And I launched our digital storytelling work or program. So I've worked with a lot of teachers over the years designing digital storytelling projects. And now I design content for WeVideo, including the curriculum in our assignment library, which we'll talk a little bit about today. So today's this session is really focused on media projects where you would want students to actually like capture their own film. So maybe they're creating like narrative film, or maybe they're creating more of like a documentary style film. This works well with content where students are creating media about issues that are important to them, or maybe interviewing members of their community and things along those lines. So we're going to be talking about what are some of the like techniques and concepts that filmmakers use to capture media and tell stories effectively using film as a visual medium that also sort of draws on sound and audio as well. Okay, so let's jump into it. So first off, I want to just sort of talk about some of the assignments that we have in the assignment library that are sort of like relevant for the content that we're going to talk about today. So these are just a few of them. We have an assignment called The World I Want to Live In. I'll talk a little bit more about these in a second. One called Satirical News, and then one called Youth Participatory Action Research. I'm not going to go more into that one, so I'll just speak a little bit to it now. The Youth Participatory Action Research project is one in which students choose an issue that is important to them that they want to take action on. And then this project is inviting them to make media about that issue. So I taught a project like that around immigration with, a lot of my students were migrant students. And so we went and interviewed people who work for nonprofits and civil rights lawyers, and then put together a film about that issue. So that'd be sort of an example of that. Okay, so I want to share just an example with you guys made by students, and then we can sort of apply. We can apply the concepts that we learned today to making a film like this. So this is an assignment, a satirical news assignment. It could also work for like an actual real news report as well. And so yeah, and then this particular video, this was one of the finalists selected for the White House Film Festival in 2016. So it's obviously going to be a high quality example. Those are always good to look at. And the prompt for this was The World I Want to Live In. So this actually comes from the next project we're going to look at. But it's, I think, a good example also of this idea of creating a satirical news report. So let's check it out.
Good morning, America. Coming up next, politicians agree on what to do with our economy. We take a look at this week's pollution-free weather. And Lydia Hagan updates you on our local traffic. This is The World I Want to Live in. Good morning, America. I'm Adeline Smith.
And I'm Dawn Muscata. It is 11:02 a.m. on Monday, July 2024, and we take a look into your morning news. Today at the Friendly Debate, Democrat nominee Brianne Pitt and Republican nominee Sierra Wilson face off at Madison Square Garden. We go to Eliza Guchkova with a look inside the debate.
Thank you, Dawn. So far, the debate has run very smoothly. Both nominees can't seem to stop agreeing with each other.
I propose that both of our parties join forces to agree on our economic policy.
What a great idea you have. Both the Democratic and Republican parties should have equal say, and as always, I know we will be able to compromise.
It looks like the Republicans and Democrats will be able to agree on all political issues this year. Back to you, Dawn.
It's great that politicians have realized they get more done when working together. It's hard to believe they were ever in a gridlock.
Now for the local weather. We throw to Sage Baker in the studio for more. How's it looking, Sage?
Thanks, Adeline.
Caroline. It's looking beautiful and sunny over in the eastern and western regions of the country this week with an air quality index of exactly 0% pollution. There may be a little rain on the west coast, but the sun will be shining and the ozone layer will be completely clear everywhere else. Watch out for the pollen though, the bees will be buzzing. Remember when there was that bee epidemic in Canada years ago? Crazy, right? Adeline and Don, back to you.
And now to... Oh, wait, looks like we have some breaking news. Chief Justice Ann Parker has just informed us that today marks the 13th consecutive year New York City has been free of violent crime. The move to rehabilitation centers instead of jails sure has taken a bite out of crime.
Wow, Adeline, what a safe world we live in.
Speaking of safety, let's check in with Lydia Hagan with the local traffic. Lydia, what do you see out there on the roads?
Okay, I'm gonna pause it there. I think you guys get the idea. But of course, you can check out the rest of it if you would like. So that's sort of one example of like what students might do if they're capturing their own media.
Good morning.
Here's another example. I won't show this to you. I'll leave this here for you. I'll share the slides with you and everything, but you can check out this one. This is sort of a more direct film from this prompt, The World I Want to Live In. It's a little bit of a heavier story, which can also be great for students to make media about real issues that are relevant to them. But the film production techniques in this one are really pretty spectacular. So I think it's also worth checking out from that point of view. That was made by a high school student. So you guys I'll leave that there for you to check out. And then another one, the media for this is actually in our assignment ideas library. But another one I would encourage you to check out is this collaborative research project. And I will just show you where that lives, just so you know where all these are. When you log into WeVideo at WeVideo.com as a teacher, you have access to this account. It's called Assignment Ideas. And there are a whole bunch of ready-made media creation projects, media projects and activities, where students create media for a variety of subject areas. You can filter by subject area to find projects and activities that are relevant to your subject area. And so this collaborative research project that I was just talking about is in here, right here. And this is a pretty neat example where students worked in small groups. They chose an issue that was important to them within the healthy food, and then they created a video as part of that project. So I'll leave that for you all to check out as well, as another example of like a type of project where students might apply the content that we're going to be looking at today. Okay, so I'm going to start off talking a little bit about shots and the different types of shots that filmmakers use and the purpose of using different shots within storytelling. So a camera shot is composed of a series of frames that are shot uninterrupted from the moment the camera starts rolling until it stops. Essentially meaning that just a shot refers to like when you push record on the video camera and then push record to stop, like that's your shot. Okay. So there are different types of shots, angles, camera movements, etc., that filmmakers use to create specific emotion or ideas or movement in each scene. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit about now. So the first shot I want to talk about is an establishing shot. An establishing shot is the first shot in a scene. It establishes the location where the action is going to take place or where the story is going to unfold. Here's an example of an establishing shot on the left-hand side from the Grand Budapest Hotel. And oftentimes an establishing shot is a wide shot showing the scene. So these are 9 different types of shots that filmmakers use. Extreme wide shot, wide shot, full shot, medium wide shot, cowboy shot, medium close-up shot, and extreme close-up shot. So they're all kind of variations on the 4 that I highlighted in red. So wide shot, full shot, medium shot, and close-up. A wide shot is used to show the scene where the action is going to take place, oftentimes showing the character within the scene. A full shot is shot head to toe. It shows the person full body, head to toe. Oftentimes those are used for capturing action. A medium shot is kind of like chest or just below the chest to just above the head. Oftentimes those shots are used for dialogue. And then a close-up shot is kind of close up in on the face, not even necessarily showing the whole head. And those are often used to build suspense or show emotion or draw attention to an object on the screen. And then these other shots are sort of variations on that. The medium close-up shot in this example, it shows it shows the character close, but sort of keeps this sort of like eerie sense of distance from the character as well. So they're all kind of like used to convey emotion, and then also to develop specific aspects of a story, whether that's showing where the story takes place, or emphasizing emotion, or showing a character's reaction to something. So filmmakers are very purposeful about the types of shots they use at different moments in the story. Okay, so then another concept is camera framing, and camera framing refers to the placement of subjects in your shots. So it's thinking about composing an image. And so for filmmakers and videographers, a major consideration for framing is the number of subjects, the number of people that are featured in a shot, and then their physical relationship to each other and the camera. So we think about size. So the size of your subject has a direct relationship to the importance of that subject. We think about relationships. So when we see more than one character in a shot, we're meant to acknowledge their relationship, whether it's romantic or contentious or something else. And then we think about balance. So a balanced frame includes elements on the left and right side of the frame. So here are some examples of camera framing. The first three just refer to the number of people that are in the frame. So you'd call a shot with just one person in the frame a single shot, a shot with 3 people in the frame a 3 shot, and those go up to like 4, 5, and 6 shot. Then you've got the over the shoulder. And so that is showing, that shows your subject from behind the shoulder of another character. It's common in conversation scenes because it shows perspective and can connect characters on an emotional level. The over the hip shot, the camera is placed with the character's hip in the foreground with the focal character in focus. If you have one character standing and the other sitting, kneeling, or any other configuration that places the subject on uneven terrain, it will often suggest a power imbalance. So that's the over the hip shot. The point of view shot is a camera shot that shows the view from a character or an inanimate object. And POV shot is generally sandwiched between 2 other shots. A camera shot of a character looking at something, or a camera shot showing the character's reaction. So if you see like a shot of a person and they're looking at something, then you can switch to a POV to show what they're looking at. Or if you're showing, and then you can switch back to show the person's reaction to that thing that they're looking at. So it's sort of like switching back and forth between those different perspectives. And then finally, an insert shot. And an insert shot often becomes the key shot in directing an audience's attention to an object. If we see a character look at something, the subsequent insert shot shows us what they see. They can also be used to show the audience a detail that goes unnoticed by the characters, leading to dramatic irony. Okay, and then camera angles. So here are a few different shots, and so camera angles is referring to like the angle of the camera, right? So we have an eye level shot that can result in a neutral perspective. This mimics how we see people in real life, our eye line connecting with theirs, and it can break down boundaries. A low angle shot shows the subject from below their eye line. These camera shots most often emphasize power dynamics between characters. A low angle shot on one character is often paired with a high angle shot on another character, and that's the next shot that shot angle that we're talking about. So a high angle shot shows a character from above the eye line. The most common usage is to make a character seem vulnerable or powerless, but there are always exceptions to the rule. I've seen like a video of Spike Lee talking about using low angle shots and high angle shots and do the right thing in this like contentious interaction. And so he wants to show certain characters as powerful and certain characters as vulnerable. So he switches back and forth between a low angle and a high angle shot to create that sort of sense of power, of a power dynamic. A cowboy shot, the camera is roughly waist high. These are useful for when you have action that occurs near the hip, like weapons being drawn or someone reaching into their pocket. The further away you get from the subject, like the example here shown on the screen. Sorry. To keep the subject frame with proper headroom, a hip level shot will get the job done. A knee level shot, the camera height is about as low as the subject's knees. A ground level shot, the camera's height is on the ground level with your subject. This is used a lot to feature a character walking without revealing their face, but it can help to make the viewer more active and use the actor's performance to build an idea. Shoulder level shots are more standard than an eye level shots, which can make your actor seem shorter than reality. Because the camera is aligned with the shoulder, it allows the actor's head to reach the top of the frame. So oftentimes, like to create a sense of balance, you can kind of see that if you look at the eye level shot. Even though it's shot at eye level, it sort of seems like it's shot a little bit from above, whereas the shoulder level shot looks a little bit more natural. So oftentimes, just to create like a sort of natural sense of being in the scene, people will use a shoulder level shot. Okay, and then the Dutch angle shot, the camera is slanted to one side with the horizon lines tilted. In this way, you can create a sense of disorientation, destabilize mental state, or increase the tension. And then finally, an overhead shot or bird's eye view shot is shot from above, looking down at your subject. These are typically shot from 90 degrees above. Anything less might be considered a high angle shot instead. An overhead shot doesn't need to be super high, but it can be. Overhead shots are great for providing perspective on a scene, but not just any perspective. It's often used as either a neutral or sometimes divine point of view. And I have speaker notes for all of this, so don't feel like you have to memorize all of this. You'll get speaker notes on this. And there's some great videos out there that talk about these different shot angles and shot sizes and show examples from films that you can check out as well. Okay, and then the last thing I want to talk about in terms of the different types of shots that filmmakers use is camera movement. And so camera movement is a filmmaking technique that causes a change in frame or perspective through the movement of the camera. Camera movement allows cinematographers and directors to shift the audience's view without cutting. Specific types of camera movements in film also can create a psychological and emotional effect on the audience. These effects can be used to make a film more immersive and engaging. And so some examples of camera movement in film are the pan, tilt, push in, and push out. So then there's like a static shot, which has no camera movement at all, right? That'd be the opposite of what we're talking about here. A pan just pans, across from left and right. They're often motivated by characters' actions. They can also be used to reveal new information to the audience. When done quickly with speed, the fast camera movement is known as a whip pan. Whip pans are one of the best camera movements to add energy to a shot. Whip pans can be used between two characters rather than cutting to establish a more energetic connection. So just whipping the camera back and forth quickly. And then a tilt refers to tilting the camera, moving the camera up or down. Camera tilts can be used to give a character dominance in a shot or to reveal new information to the audience. Tilts enable filmmakers to capture the verticality of a film in moments of awe and spectacle. And then a push in would be like you'd have a camera on a dolly or, maybe working in schools, just like try to have your film person holding the camera person walking towards for a push-in, or walking away for a pull-out, to create that kind of camera movement. Okay, so we're gonna sort of just take a minute to process what we've learned so far about different shot sizes and framing and camera movement. And so we're gonna just watch this, just a part of this clip from Jurassic Park. And you guys can like put in the chat what are the different camera sizes, framing angles, and movement that you're seeing. And I know we just kind of went through this pretty quickly, so you're not necessarily expected to have all of this memorized. But if I were running this activity with students, like I'd give them a worksheet with, they would have a worksheet with all these different names on it, and space to write down what they're seeing and discuss what they're seeing. But, maybe look for like wide shots, full shots, medium shots, close-up shots. And then, maybe look for like an over-the-shoulder shot. That's a common shot that's used in film. And then maybe look for like high angle or low angle shots. And then any camera movement that you see. Okay, and I apologize, there is a swear word in the scene. It's like the only one in Jurassic Park. It's unfortunate it ended up being in this clip. I will try to mute that for you, but we're adults here, so it should be okay. But yeah, put in the chat what you're seeing in terms of as we're watching this.
Alan, this species of variformin's been extinct since the Cretaceous period. I mean, this thing is this thing. What?
It's a dinosaur.
You did it. You crazy son of a bitch, you did it.
Oh, sorry, I tried to mute that.
This tear up the rule book on it. Cold-bloodedness, it doesn't apply. They're totally wrong. This is a warm-bodied creature.
This thing doesn't live in a swamp.
This thing's got, what, a 25, 27-foot neck? Brachiosaurus 30.
Just gonna pause that and go back. I think this is a good example of we talked about how like filmmakers will use low angle shots and high angle shots to show characters as powerful or vulnerable or less powerful, and they'll often switch back and forth. And here's a good example showing the Bronchiosaurus as powerful and the humans as less powerful.
Creature.
This thing doesn't live in a swamp.
This thing's got, what, a 25, 27-foot neck? Brachiosaurus 30. We're gonna make a fortune with this place. How fast are they?
Well, we clocked the T-Rex to 32 miles an hour.
All right, so I'll stop that there. But that's an example of an activity you could, run with students to help them process this information, and maybe give them a worksheet, have them. They could even like take screenshots of like specific, maybe they have to identify like 5 to 10 shots, and so they could take screenshots, put them on the worksheet, and then put the name, and then say like what they think the purpose of that shot was in that scene. Like for example, you know, I would maybe take a screenshot of this shot and talk about how the push in or the close up is used to show this lawyer's reaction to the scene and his like interest in making money off of the park, for example. Okay, so now I want to show you an example of an Academy Award filmmaker, Spike Lee, talking about how he planned a scene for the film Malcolm X, and how he used the information that we've just covered to plan that scene for specific storytelling impact. And so also how he used storyboarding to plan the scene. So essentially, you know, filmmakers, once, you know, they have a script, they have a story, they will develop a storyboard, which is the different types of shots that they want to capture within a scene, as their way of sort of planning to actually shoot the scene. So we're especially going to focus in on, for this he's especially going to focus in on wide shots, medium shots, close-ups, and over the shoulder shots. And then he uses the term coverage. That just refers to breaking down a script into the shots needed to cover everything happening in the scene. So it basically means, it refers to like storyboarding and in terms of all of the shots that you're going to use. So this is him. He's talking about the assassination scene from Malcolm X, and he's going to share like the storyboard and how they sort of planned that scene with us.
Storyboard scenes are scenes where those are big production days. Those are days where you spend a lot of money. Those are days where you have extras, you have effects. The first time we did that was the riot sequence at the end of Do the Right Thing. And we did the assassination scene for Malcolm X. And we always talk about what is the shot that's going to help us tell the story. What coverage do we need to help tell the story? It was really just like a roadmap. We know what we have to do. We know in what order we're going to shoot. And every time we got a shot off, we would just put an X over that board. You have storyboards. People don't, you have to talk. Just look at this. Okay, we're doing this, 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 this. And it just makes something that's very complicated simpler. These are the storyboards for an assassination scene in Malcolm X. You see the X's, that means that we shot that scene, so shoot a bore you, cross it out. Now the ones that aren't crossed out, those are ones that we decided we don't need. Right here on page 5, this is where it starts. Get your hand out of my pocket. That was the cue. Sass would stand up, pull out a smoke bomb, a diversionary tactic, everybody focus on him. Malcolm's guards lead the front of the stage, go to the back, see what's happening with him. The assassins have free access to Malcolm. This is the sequences where people being trampled, crawling on the floor. And right here, pick up Audubon. That means that from here on, it's exterior shots at the real Audubon. In fact, we have a shot, a double cut where they're coming through the doors. So all this stuff at the Audubon Ballroom, I didn't need a storyboard because it was just come through the doors, we put Malcolm, Denzel on a stretcher and just run across the street. So again, this is storyboards for the assassination.
So yeah, I think it's kind of interesting to hear, you know, an actual filmmaker, Academy Award winning filmmaker, to talk about, you know, how they use, how they use these effects to plan a big production film like Malcolm X. And you know, if you guys can go back and kind of look at this to see what kinds of notes that they have in there, but you'll notice that they have notes about like cuts and using a pan here, and some of the vocabulary that we've talked about so far. And then obviously also like camera framing, like a close-up shot or a full shot here where there's action taking place. So you can also kind of focus in on that too. So I've linked in here a storyboard template. And so this is something, you could use with students. It has space for them to draw like the drawings that we saw in that example. So that would be like thinking about the shot size and frame and angle, and drawing what's going to be captured in the shot. What's going to be said, whether that's an on-camera person or if they're going to use the voice recorder in WeVideo, what's going to be said, or if they're going to use text to say that. And then I need to actually edit this. This should say shot size. I will go edit these for you guys. But is it a wide shot, full shot, medium shot, close shot? And of course, we saw there are more shot sizes than that. Just tried to sort of simplify this for the audience, K-12 students. And then sound. There are notes down here, but sound would be: are you using original media, people on camera, a voiceover, using the narration tool in WeVideo, music or sound effects, just planning what the soundscape is going to be for that scene. Okay, we're not gonna do this today because we can't fit this into a 55-minute session. But at this point, we've talked about shot sizes and camera angles, and storyboarding. So this is where I would sort of pause and have us think of an idea for a story, something simple, short story, and apply what we learned by storyboarding and planning out the shots that we would use for a short story. Okay, so like if you're gonna introduce this content to students, right? Like I would scaffold this and then give them opportunities to apply what they learn before they have to apply it on the big project that they're going to create, right? And be assessed through formative assessment, get feedback, have an opportunity to practice, process, and then later apply it to the bigger project that they're working on. Okay, so at this point, you've learned about shot sizes, you've learned about storyboarding, you've created your storyboard. The next point in the process next phase in the process of creating a film would be to actually go out and shoot your media, capture your media. And so we've got some great tips here for Miles Bess talking about capturing video. So let's check this out. And this is a great film to share with students. He does a great job of making media entertaining for young people.
Hey, I'm Miles Bess. You might recognize me as the host of Above the Noise, a really, really dope web series. So, you want to make a video or you got to make one for a school project? Have no fear. I'm here to make sure that I give you some tips so your video pops. I mean, I'm kind of an expert at this stuff. The most important thing to remember about video is that it's a visual medium. So it's important to catch your viewer's eye and make them want to watch your story. Whether that's by using your charisma on camera or with creative visuals. And you don't need a fancy camera to make a high quality video. All you need is your phone, a good story, and a few of these tips. First up, framing. So the chest is about the lowest you want to go or else you'll be a disembodied head. But you might want to do from the stomach up or the waist up, or you might just want to have your whole body. Whichever you choose, just make sure that you have enough headroom so you're not, having a lot of space above you or you're not cutting off your forehead. This isn't good. Try reframing it, please. You don't want to stand too close to your background because it just looks really weird. This shot also has way too much headroom. You want to avoid a shaky camera like this. You should have a friend record it, and if you can't get your friend to record it, you should prop it up on something like, you know, like this. It could be a piece of tape, it could be a book, it could be another phone, or just have your friend film it, and if they make it shaky, have them refilm it. Just make sure that it's a stable shot. And when you're shooting your selfie style or you have your friend doing it or whatever, make sure that it's not nothing like this, crazy like that you can see on my nose, or too high like this, because this just isn't cool. Make sure that it's like eye level like that. You see that that's cool. Not cool, cool. This is very important. Please look directly into the camera. You see, I got a friend helping me film this.
I'm your friend.
You're my friend. Now, if I looked at them while I filmed the whole thing, it would look a little weird, wouldn't it? Or if I look to the side, or if I look down and I'm just talking, it looks weird. So look directly at the camera when you're recording. Please and thank you. Shoot in front of an interesting background if it relates to your story. Like if your story is about San Francisco, shoot in San Francisco. If a prop helps your story, oh, use the prop. Lighting depends on your location. If you're shooting outside, you want to make sure that the sun or light source is in front of you and not backlit, like this. And you don't want to film in front of a window because you can't see me. You should avoid noisy environments if possible. If your environment is noisy because you picked somewhere super cool, super relevant to your story, you can use headphones with a microphone, like these bad boys. You see, headphone, microphone. A selfie video is a great way to connect with your audience, but don't sound like you're reading. You gotta sound natural. So you can practice and remember the basic outline of the script, but you don't want to sound like a robot when you're reading it. Also, use volume and tone and make dramatic pauses to emphasize words. This helps with clarity and dramatic effect. You know, long words, names, numbers, and enunciate and don't mumble if you don't want to be talking like this. So those are all my tips for how to shoot a solid selfie style video. Just make sure there's no shaky camera and you are not reading like this, and you should be good to go. Good luck.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, that kind of covers like the range of topics that one needs to consider when capturing media: audio, lighting, camera angles, stabilizing the camera, all that kind of stuff. So good thing to share with kids and have them process before they're going to capture media. Just to emphasize some of the points that he made, he didn't actually talk about this, I don't think, but it's good to think about, it's good to plan ahead in terms of whether you're going to shoot in portrait mode, where with the camera held vertically, or in landscape mode. And essentially you want to shoot in portrait mode when media will be viewed on a phone, like if you're shooting for social media. And then you want to shoot in landscape mode if media is going to be viewed on a TV, computer, or big screen. It's not great if you're switching back and forth, because if you're, let's say you're creating media to be viewed on the big screen or computer, if you have shots that are in portrait mode, you're just going to end up with like the wide black lines, vertical lines on the sides, and it doesn't really fill the screen and look that great. So you definitely want to plan for which you're going to shoot in. And then for composition in film, the rule of thirds is a useful concept to know about and utilize. You can actually, on your phone, you can actually turn on grid lines like the ones shown on this in this frame. And essentially, the rule of thirds says that you basically what you do is you divide your shot in thirds, both vertically and horizontally, and you can align like horizon lines along like the top third line. You can align to create like a sense of balance. You can align objects also along the vertical or the horizontal lines, or even position them, like in this example, in the crosshairs of the lines. And positioning them in the crosshairs creates like more three-dimensionality to the image. So it takes a two-dimensional image and makes it appear more three-dimensional. And then it's good to have lead room, which refers to the space in the shot that's in front of what your subject is looking at, or the direction they're moving. And so in this case, we have the dog looking out into the distance to the left. So we've left lead room on the left side of this image so that we can see what they're looking at. they're not like bumped up against the left edge or we can't see what they're looking at. And if we're shooting for film, if we're shooting video for film, then our subject might be moving, and so if they're moving to the left and we have them on the left side of our frame, they're just going to move out of the shot versus moving into the shot or allowing us to pan and show what they're moving towards. So important to leave lead room in the shot. And then he talked a little bit about headroom, just making sure that there's not too much or too little headroom. Don't cut off the top of the head unless you're shooting like a close-up shot, and don't leave a bunch of space above the head. That can look really awkward, especially when filming like interviews or medium shots. It's good to think about headroom. Okay, so now that we've talked about, camera framing and capturing media, this would be a good time to have, students actually like capture footage. And they can use our WeVideo mobile app if they're capturing footage on their phone. They can use the WeVideo mobile app. There's an upload media button to upload their media to WeVideo, so that when they just log into WeVideo, I'll go show you in WeVideo. There's an uploads tab here. So anything that they would have that they upload using the WeVideo mobile app will automatically show up in their uploads folder. And it will also show up if they open up a project. It will also show up, that media will also show up in the uploads tab here as well. So it just cuts out the need to like, it cuts out the need to like airdrop to a computer and then upload to WeVideo, or to send to Google Drive and then upload to WeVideo. So that's the context I would use the WeVideo mobile app in. The WeVideo mobile app also has capture media tools for capturing audio, photographs, and video. And you can actually swap backgrounds when you're capturing video using the capture media tool in the mobile app. So that can be kind of like a fun thing to play around with too. There's a video here that kind of shows how that works. I'll just, you guys can check this out if you want to later. Okay, and then so I think sort of the last thing I want to talk about is just some like concepts. We're not going to go like full into editing, but just some concepts that are particularly useful when you're editing your own media versus like creating a film just using or a video just using the stock media library. There is a like short 2.5-minute video here, kind of a tutorial on the WeVideo on editing with WeVideo. I'm not going to show that, but that's a resource that you can share with students. That's also on our site, wevideo.com/academy. Just to make sure you guys know about that, I'll just show you what I'm talking about. So this is wevideo.com/academy. And there are tons of videos on here for the different features of the editor, for getting started, understanding how the dashboard works, gathering media, adding and trimming media on the timeline, motion static text, using the green screen tool, color correction, all that kind of stuff, and using the classroom tools. So you guys can always check those out to extend your learning. But a few concepts that I want to talk about today. One is a cut-in. And so a cut-in can be used, it just changes the camera size, essentially. It changes the shot. And so it's going from, let's say, like in this case, a medium shot to a close-up shot. And you're using the same shot. You're doing this in post. So you're doing this in the editor to change the perspective of the shot. And so it looks like this. This is cut in. It's especially useful for interviews. Let's say you filmed like a 5-minute interview. You need to condense that down into 1 minute. You're going to be like cutting stuff out and then stitching different parts of that that clip together. And that can look kind of choppy if like you see the person, their body position changes all of a sudden. That can be choppy. It can take the person out of the story. So you can actually hide those cuts by using a cut in. And so this is what this would look like. So just changing the perspective there, and then there's a cutout going back out. And so I'll show you how to do that real quick. I'll just create a new project here, and I'll just find a video from the stock media library. See if we can find like an interview clip. Oh, here we go. Here's this one. Okay. So let's say like, okay, I want to use like this first 10 seconds and then I want to use the last 10 seconds, but I don't want the stuff in the middle. I can just split this clip twice and delete the middle using my keyboard and then pull, just drag these together. And so look, there's probably going to be a jump here. If we imagine she's talking. Okay, yeah, all of a sudden the hands are in a different place. So if I just double click on this piece of media and I'll change the scale, you can drag the slider or use the numbers. We'll just change the scale, adjust the position a little bit so there's a little bit of headroom. And then now see if you can tell that there's a jump. Not really, right? So it hides that jump. So that's creating a cut in. And you would use that obviously, like you'd use that with a piece of media you shot where like you're hearing the person speaking. Okay, so there's a little GIF on how to create that, so you'll have that there if you forget or you want something to show students. And then the other thing is using B-roll, and so B-roll is used to like show visually what you're talking about. And then B-roll can also be used to hide cuts by like jumping to show something else and layering that over your cut. So here's an example in this GIF of a cooking show run by these students. So our main shot, our A-roll, is the shot of them, and then we cut to the B-roll, and that's the close-up of salting the food. And so the way to do that in the editor, it's pretty easy. But let's say like, okay, let's say again, like we have this cut here. I'll just make this a little longer. Let's say she's talking about elephants, okay? And we're not going to use a cut in. We're just going to leave this. Here, I'll just get this back to, let's say we've got this cut here. She's talking about elephants, so we could just layer a clip over that cut, or it doesn't have to be to hide a cut. It could just be to show what she's talking about. And then it would just be like, we're showing her on film, we're hearing her, and then we're layering a silent clip on top of what she's talking about. And while we're still hearing the sound from her media. So to create B-roll, it's just layering a clip over another clip in the editor on a track above. And you can always create more tracks in WeVideo this way. So just like to be clear, the editor, the timeline works as layers. So anything down here in the timeline that's layered on a track above another piece of media is going to be the front layer that you see. And if you wanted to see like both layers, you could just change the scale of the top layer and like move that around. That'd be what's called creating a picture-in-picture. So that'd be another way you could kind of use layers in the video editor. See that in like news reports a lot. Okay, and then so at this point, the idea would be that, you know, students have learned about shot sizes and all that. They've learned about storyboarding. They've storyboarded. They've learned about how to capture media. They've captured their media. They've learned how to edit. They've edited. So now they're, you know, the idea would be to create the film and have a film fest where you show you view each other's pieces of media. And so that's sort of that sort of wraps the process of film production. The next thing to think about would be, and it goes with this idea of a film fest, it would be distribution. So like, where are you going to want student films to be shown? And there, you can get really creative with that. It could be having a film fest in class. It could be having a film fest in the auditorium and inviting, other classes or the school to view the students' media. It could be partnering with a local movie theater and having them allow you to have like a film screening at the theater and a Q&A with students, an exhibition at the school, all sorts of things you could do. This was an example of a project that I did with students where they created Mock Above the Noise episodes, which is the television show that Miles Best runs, the guy we heard from earlier. And then we created a web page. We put all the media on a web page, and then we shared that with the school. And that just created like a sense of authenticity and authentic audience to view students' work. And I think students felt like another level of sort of professionalism, seeing their videos on a web page and seeing that shared with a broad audience. And then here's an activity you could also use. This is in the assignment ideas library, the 4-shot challenge. It's inviting students to take what they learned about different shot sizes and camera angles and tell a story in just 4 shots. I'll share with you this example real quick, and then that'll be the last thing we look at. Okay, so yeah, that is basically it for this session. You guys have your own feedback form, is that right? Because we have a feedback form we use for these sessions, but I'm just wondering if I should share that or not. Deborah, are you guys collecting your own feedback? I'll just put this in the chat in case you guys want to fill out this feedback form. And then I'll put the slides, a link to the slides in the chat as well, so you guys have all this content. And otherwise, yeah, thank you so much. It's been, it was nice to have you all here. I appreciate you joining the session, and I wish you guys all the best.